This video is going to review how to solve proportions. Remember, what a proportion is when you have a fraction equal to another fraction and you're trying to solve for a variable inside there. Now, there's a couple different ways to do these. The way that I like to teach it is to remember that the products across the cross products are going to be equal. So when you multiply across one side of the two fractions and you multiply 2x, that's going to equal when you multiply the other, which would be 5 times 10, which is 50. Now, once you do that, if you just solve for x the way you've learned how, you can get an answer, for example, here of 25. So again, you multiply across each of those diagonals and you set those two things equal to each other and solve. Let's look at another example. Again, we have a fraction equal to another fraction. We're trying to solve for x. So I like to start by multiplying across one way. Now the key here when you do this multiplication is that you're going to have to multiply the 4 with the x and the 1. So you should get 4x plus 4. Then we'll put an equal sign and we'll multiply the other way. When I do that, we're going to get 3 times 2x plus 4. And again, we have to use our distributive property to get 6x plus 12. Now, we're going to use our solving equation skills to try to get the x alone. So the first thing we'll do is subtract 4 x's from both sides. We're going to have 4 equals 2x plus 12. I'm going to minus a 12 from both sides to get those 2 x's alone. So we get negative 8 equals 2x, and lastly we would divide by 2 to get negative 4 for x. One more example, same idea, multiply across one diagonal and we'll get 27x, put an equal sign, multiply across the diagonal and we're going to have to do 6 times x plus 1. Remember to use your distributive property, so we get 6x plus 6, and we'll solve. Let's start by grouping those x's together. So we're going to get 27x minus 6x, which is 21x, equals 6. And I'm going to have to divide by 21. Now in this case I don't have a calculator handy, so I'm just going to leave it as 6 over 21. But you can see that the answers will sometimes be decimals. When you're reading a proportional word problem, remember it's important to keep like things together. So if your question's dealing with miles and gallons of gas, then for one set you'd put miles over gallons, and then you'd set it equal to miles over gallons again, and then you can solve the way we did it before. Just like if you're purchasing something for money, you could put the number of items with money. If you're going to put it that way with the first fraction, then you'd want to set it up the second way, the same. So just keep like things in like places, and then you can go ahead and cross multiply. So now go ahead, come up, ask Mrs. A for a practice on proportions, and then when you're done you can take your concept check.